may have been in the diary for you in the back of your head today. It would have been his 74th birthday. His music, his artistry impacted people all over the world. And of course, this is all ahead of the weekend, which will mark 5 years since David Bowie's death. BBC Radio Somerset's Emma Rushton has been speaking to those, telling their memories of how his life, his music, his legacy affected them.
It's a god-awful small affair.
2 days after David Bowie's 69th birthday, the 10th of January 2016, the worst news came for Bowie fans.
Some breaking news in to us just now this morning. It's been confirmed that David Bowie, singer and musician, has died at the age of 69 this morning.
In the days that followed, fans came together to share their grief at the loss of the singer and artist they'd grown to love. 22-year-old Laura King from North Somerset told me about the moment she heard of the singer's death.
My mum came into my room and she started tearing up, and I was like, oh my God, what's happened? David Bowie's died. And I just sat there and I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, it happened last night. And I was like, is it on the news? And she said, yeah. So I just bolted downstairs and the headline just said, David Bowie's died, and I burst into tears.
Following David Bowie's death, Andy James from Somerset set up a fan magazine to pay tribute to the legend that was Bowie. He told me about how the loss felt to him.
My son woke me at about, it would have been about 6 in the morning, and said, David Bowie's dead. And I said, he can't be, there's no way. He only brought an album out 2 days ago. He said, no, he's died, he's passed away. And that just, you know, when your stomach sinks to the bottom of your shoes, it's one of those feelings, really. In a way, it was worse than losing some more distant family members, really, because he played such a large part of my life. Yeah, it was gutting, and although it's got easier over the last 5 years, I still can't believe he's gone. It's still quite incredible, because when David Bowie brought an album out, it was an event. But yeah, that day was awful, and then they did the Brits, and that was really emotional, because Annie Lennox made a fantastic speech.
Even if they didn't know him personally, many people must feel as if things will never be quite the same again. He had that special kind of significance,
which was really emotional and very touching. That was difficult to get through, really.
So what is it about David Bowie that inspires people? Laura told me about the moment her love affair with him started.
For me, I'd known about him since I was a kid because my brother lent me his copy of Labyrinth to watch. And so, suffice to say, The Goblin King was probably like my first movie crush. I fell in love with it, everything about it. And actually, my copy of the DVD, I had to buy a new one because it was scratched on the ballroom scene, because I kept rewinding to that scene every time I watched it. Because I just loved everything about it, like the costumes, the hair, the makeup, the voice, just everything. And then as I grew up, I kind of got this thought in my head. I was like, oh, I want to know more about the guy who plays the Goblin King. So then I started like finding his music and everything, buying his CDs, buying the books, and just got more and more into him. But unfortunately, I chose to get into him the summer of 2015.
Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter and stepped aside.
So what kind of legacy has Bowie left for his fans, and what does he mean to them? Andy and Laura told me just how important the singer is.
He was such a massive part of my life. I cannot imagine my life without him. He meant a terrific amount to me. Still does. He still does, and always will, really.
What he represents is kind of this ability to constantly change yourself throughout your life and never stay the same on anything. And even if something kind of scares you or you're not sure about it, just do it, because if you don't, it's a wasted opportunity. And just the fact that through 50 years, he never stopped. He was always constantly changing himself and just being out there.
Fans from Somerset telling their stories of David Bowie. There'll be more later on with Matt Faulkner in your drive show from 2 o'clock. Emma